Hi, I'm David Holt, out on the road with the Celebration Express. Places to go, people to meet, out on the back roads or riding down the street. We'll celebrate the north, down the east and west, all aboard for the Celebration Express. This week, the Celebration Express is paying a visit to San Diego, California. Like most of California, San Diego is a haven for the outdoorsman. When you think of this part of the country, you just naturally call to mind activities like surfing, along with walking, skateboarding, and bicycling. Of course, some of the people around San Diego ride bicycles just a little bit different from the people I know back home in North Carolina. Hi, I'm David Holt. All those things are San Diego, but something you may not expect to find here is one of the world's finest banjo manufacturers, the Deering Banjo Company. Now, this is a banjo, or at least it will be when the people at Deering get through with it. The Deering Banjo Company was founded in 1978 by a man who wanted but couldn't afford a better banjo. So he decided to build his own, and 10 years later they're turning out one of the finest instruments in the world. Deering is a small operation. They don't have a factory with an assembly line, just a handful of dedicated craftsmen that make up the extended family, all put together by two of the best people you'll ever want to know. I'm sitting here with Greg and Janet Deering of the Deering Banjo Company, and this is your 10th anniversary.
Yep. We've been building Deering banjos now for 10 years.
How in the world did it start that you would be building some of the best banjos in the world in San Diego?
Well, I was raised here. I've lived here just about all my life, and Janet was actually born here. And this is home.
And how did you get interested in the banjo here?
Well, got interested in the banjo originally from the folk era, Kingston Trio and Pete Seeger and that type. And wanted a better banjo, couldn't afford it, so I built one. And another one. The next thing I know, I was doing it for a living.
And how did you get involved in it? Were you married at the time you started the company?
No, I drugged her in a little bit later.
And did you know anything about banjos, or?
No, I really wasn't even sure what a banjo was until I met Greg.
I put her to work before we got married, though, so I knew what I was getting.
And you've actually done a lot of the building yourself, too, haven't you?
Yeah, I've worked alongside of him. Yeah, I work in the finish end of it, mostly buffing and work with lacquer.
Tell me about the steps that it takes to make a banjo and the people you have back here making them.
Well, we've got Chuck, who's worked with us about 8 or 9 years.
Going on 10 years.
He started when he was 24 with us. We'd heard that he was a good painter, painting houses for a banjo teacher. He was a banjo student. And so we hired him and trained him from the ground up. And then there's Wendell, who's moved down from Oregon. The lumber mill he was working for closed, so we hired him. He's a good woodworker, very talented craftsman. And then there's Andrew. He's about 18. He's
19.
19.
Somewhere.
We hired him out of high school when he was working worked for us sweeping the floor when he was out of high school, and then he's since finished high school and he's come to work full time.
And then we've got Joe in Valletta, and he's the guy I've been playing music with for a couple of years. He's a really fine banjo player, fine musician, and he'd been an electronics technician for the last 10 years. Finally got fed up with it, with the boss yelling at him and screaming and all that pressure from that high-tech business, and quit. So it didn't take me long to snatch him up. And then we've got Marty, and he's our newest member of the crew. He was a friend of Andrew's. He started working with us, sweeping the floor, and it's really surprising how much you learn about somebody when their job's to sweep the floor. They come out there and you don't have to keep pushing them, and you walk out in the shop and it's clean. And you don't have to go pointing to what he didn't do. You know, you've got a competent individual. That's what we look for more than anything, is people that are just competent individuals. If they really care about what they do and are conscientious, then you can train them to do anything, and they'll learn. But if they don't care, you can't train that into somebody.
Who are some of the people that are known that play your banjos?
Well, we've got Roy Clark, Jimmy Henley, John Hartford, Johnny Cash. The list is getting pretty big.
John Hickman.
Bernie Ledden, Billy Ray Latham, and we just finished one for you.
Yes, you sure did. Prettiest banjo I've ever seen in my whole life. Let me show this one. Now, one of the things I really like about your work is that you're willing to take a chance and do something you've never done before and build it the way that the banjo player wants it built. I think that's really unusual. This banjo was, I wanted a banjo with a real pretty inlay called a Tree of Life, and you took this off of an old Stewart banjo. Let's see that. So here's the old one. This banjo neck was probably made in the early, late 1800s. And then Greg made this beautiful inlay up and down the neck and made one of the finest old-time banjos I've ever seen. The Deering Company makes not only tenor and 5-string banjos, but 6-string banjos for guitar players, as well as the only production 12-string banjo, and even several styles of electric banjos. The Deerings use wood and metal like any other instrument makers, but what makes their product superior is the collection of people that have become the Deering family. This is their 10th anniversary, and I'd say they'll be around for years to come, and their banjos will undoubtedly outlast us all. This is David Holt, out on the road with a Celebration Express.
Okay. Thank you, David. That's David Holt. That feature's called the Celebration Express.